Hello and welcome back into Foolish Club Media. I am Steven Serda. It's another divisional round playoff game for the Kansas City Chiefs. They kick off against the Houston Texans at 3:30 today. So we got a special pregame show coming your way. It's me, it's Kramer Sansone, it's Ron Hughley. Fellas, Chiefs looking to put the Texans away and advance to another AFC championship game. How we feeling?
I'm feeling good, baby. Feeling good. The quest for 3 straight comes right here, and you got a team that it feels good when you're walking into a game where you have a team that you're better than, that a team that you are more healthier than, a team that you're playing at home that doesn't have a lot of experience or success in this portion of the playoffs. So from that perspective, you got to feel good and a lot going the Chiefs' way.
No, I feel great about this one as well. This should be I wouldn't say an easy one for the Chiefs this upcoming game, but I mean, who knows? I just know it's going to be very easy for the Chiefs. They've been here, done that. They're full confidence. They're fully rested. I am actually zero worries coming from me today.
So Kramer's got that Brandon Kiley confidence going into this matchup against the Texans.
Zero confidence. Zero concerns.
Yeah, I haven't had a concern this entire season, if I'm being honest.
I bet you haven't. I'm not going to say zero concerns, but I feel really good about it.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it a lot this week here on Foolish Club Media. And again, I encourage you to head over to our YouTube page, like us there, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple and Spotify. But we talked about it a ton this week, and it's like, as far as matchups they could have drawn, I think this is the most favorable. I think the Texans have some nice players. I like CJ Stroud. I like Nico Collins. The defense can be a legitimate problem. But at the end of the day, I think the Chiefs are just simply a much more talented team than the Houston Texans. And I think that we will see that in today's matchup. But it all starts with what we've been talking about all week long. The biggest decision after the Chiefs haven't played meaningful snaps of football since Christmas Day. And so the question that we've been talking about for the last 3 weeks is, who are they going to start at left tackle in the postseason? And according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, the decision has been made that Joe Toney is expected to start at left tackle for the Chiefs today. And Kramer, I haven't gotten your opinion on this, but I know Ron's, and I know me and him align on this. I think this is the absolute right decision by the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think there should have been much of a debate about it. I think Joe Toney is the guy that should have gotten the nod from the get-go, and some of this is just gamesmanship by the Chiefs not wanting to show their hand ahead of time.
And you've seen what Joe Toney's done at left tackle this entire time. I feel like he's the best on the team, clearly, by a landslide, by everybody. And if the other person was supposed to be DJ Humphries in the situation to start, we haven't seen him since, the second quarter of Week 15. So I don't want to see a guy I think he's over the hill. I don't want to see DJ Humphries suit up again for the Chiefs. But Joe Toney is the best option. Don't put Wanya over there. Dear God, don't put Kingsley Sumatia there. Joe Toney's perfect for this, and you already know he's going to take the bullet no matter what for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I think it's very simple, man. Like, I think people are inventing things in their head as reasons why, because I think it comes from a good place. I think people understand that Joe Toney is an amazing guard and that he is maybe the best guard in football. And we've seen the running game kind of dip a little bit with him moving out and Caliendo coming in. And yes, he's a great guard. But guys, to hell with that. I mean, it's I don't even understand, as you said, sort of what the conversation is. His 3 starts: Myles Garrett, Will Anderson Jr., Danielle Hunter, Danico Autry, Barnett, TJ Watt, Highsmith, all of those guys lined up. Those are 3 teams that rush the passer well. The Chiefs gave up 1 sack, and it was to a linebacker, not a front forward member. 1 sack in the game. And in the game against the Texans the first time, they only hit him 3 times. and that was the sack, was a linebacker. The previous 3 games before he moved over there against the Chargers, Raiders, and Panthers, they gave up 13 sacks, and he was hit more than anybody. People are inventing themselves in their head that, oh, maybe if we want to be able to hold the ball longer and push the ball down the field longer. Like, okay, if you want to do that, okay. I don't know what the last 2 weeks have been able to do would make you think you should change what you've been able to do when you put up 27, 29, and it could have been more, but you stopped yourself. I don't understand what people have watched from DJ Humphrey that gives you the ability to even think that he would be a better option to hold a pass rush longer so you can throw the ball down the field. There is nothing that he has done to show that. Like you said, Kramer, week 15. No, he got his ass destroyed in week 18 against the Broncos.
Shoot, forgot about that.
There were people rolling right around him. Like, you just can't. I just don't even know how it is a conversation. Yeah, you paid him $4 million, and that sucks, but it ain't time to mess around with it.
And at the end of the day, all that matters with this decision by the Chiefs, which I do think was an easy one for Andy Reid and this coaching staff, is protecting Patrick Mahomes against this Houston Texans pass rush that can be a legitimate problem that totally handled Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers. Like, that defensive line is a problem. They've got some playmakers in the secondary, but what it comes down to, and I've seen some other people point this out, and I've mentioned it multiple times, the Chiefs offense turned things around when Joe Toney went to left tackle. Patrick Mahomes looked as comfortable as he has looked all season long with Joe Toney at left tackle. There is trust there that he simply doesn't have with anyone else they have trotted out to the left side of that line this season. And I think that's the only thing that matters, is that Mahomes trusts it's not going to be like Wanye and the Las Vegas Raiders where he's going to get dominated as soon as the ball snapped. Mahomes needs time. He needs to survey the field. And even if they're leaning on the quick passing game and leaning on this surgical style offense, he didn't have trust in those guys before, and he does have that trust in Joe Toney, and that's the only thing that matters moving forward the rest of the way. This is the best chance the Chiefs have at getting back to another Super Bowl, is with Joe Toney at left tackle the rest of the way.
No, yeah, I just don't even know, like, what you could even do to try to do anything else. There is nothing anyone has shown. As I've said, I'd argue Joe Toney's played in his 3 games the best left tackle I've seen in years. To me, in years, like, he was better than Donovan last year. Like, I have more confidence than that. So I don't even know what the thought is.
Then it's worked this entire time. Why would we want to switch it up? They've lost 2 games, one where no one was actually playing.
Yes.
Like, can we just keep it going how it's rolling
and switch it up to a place that all you've seen is it not work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that again this week too. It's like, this isn't, I think it was on the Daily Fix, like, this is the divisional round. This is a chance to host another AFC championship game at Arrowhead Stadium. Like, this isn't the time to tinker and see what you got in DJ Humphries. It's just sunk cost. Like, you did that to try to make a move, ensure up the offensive line. It did not work out. He was a player coming off of an ACL, and then you had to rush him into game action. He immediately gets hurt again. And you had no choice but to lean into this. And that is why the Chiefs need to keep going with it, because DJ Humphries just isn't going to work out, but hopefully he gets a Super Bowl ring. Like that's the best case scenario, is that Joe Toney is the left tackle the rest of the way, and they just get DJ Humphries a Super Bowl ring and say, well, thanks for just being here, I guess. And we paid you quite a bit of money for not a lot of game time action and not a lot of production, but that's the way that it goes. But moving off the offensive line and talking about the Chiefs offense that has improved, the last time we actually saw the starters play, week 18 doesn't count against the Denver Broncos, but we finally saw some life from Travis Kelce. And I know Travis Kelce season, it's like any other tight end in the NFL. That's like a Pro Bowl caliber season from the tight end position, what he did this year, but it's just not up to the standards that he has set as a future Hall of Famer.
His was a Pro Bowl caliber season too. He made the Pro Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Okay. See, I don't even look at the Pro Bowl list anymore because they're dumb. But yes, it's a Pro Bowl caliber season for Travis Kelce. And now this is what we've been talking about all year. And I think we saw a glimpse of that against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where it was like they're starting to ramp him up. They're starting to turn things on. And now they have enough bodies in the wide receiver room to draw some attention away from him. I expect a monster game from Travis Kelce today. And I know, he's averaging he has the streak of 70 yards in the playoffs, and what he does, I'm expecting the best looking Travis Kelce today that we have seen all season for the Kansas City Chiefs.
So you're expecting a 2-touchdown over 100+ yard performance from Travis. Is that what you're saying?
Sure.
Pretty much?
If you want to go bet on that, you can. That's what I'm expecting from Travis Kelce.
That feels aggressive.
That feels very aggressive, actually. I don't know if we're going to see playoff Trav come in this one, because do they really need to do much on this offense, knowing that there's all these weapons that actually are healthy, that Mahomes can spread around? I mean, it'd be cool to see Travis not get a touchdown. At least get one touchdown. If he gets 20 yards, cool. It's going to be a Chiefs victory no matter what, because you got this entire people around him. The arsenal is way too deep for the Chiefs. If Travis doesn't go off this game, I'm hoping it's the next one, because you kind of need it more the next game than you do this one. I would say, but you need to win every single game, clearly. But you know what? He's going to get open. He's going to eat. He's going to get his own.
Yeah, I think that's really the story. Is last year.
Deep thoughts.
I think Rod's a little frozen, though.
All right, you got me now? Am I back now? I just think the big deal is, when you look at last year, how many guys were you how many games you were we need Pacheco to play, we need Rice to play, we need Kelce to play, and I don't know if there's anybody else that you feel good that's going to add walking into games. I think the big part, a little bit what Kramer said, was they don't need Travis to be playoff Travis. And I don't mean just not in this game because they're playing an opponent that they're better than. I'm just talking the rest of the way. They just have so many options right now that I think may lead to him having big games and look like playoff Travis, but they don't need him like that. He could go out there and go 5-6 catches for 50, 60 yards and no touchdowns. And that would be big if he's converted a couple of third downs, if he's got a couple of first downs with the other guys around him, that works. Or he could look like the guy we saw the last time he played against Pittsburgh, which was closer to the Travis we've seen throughout his career. But that's the beauty of this. He does not have to be great.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And Hollywood Brown, I expect the way that we have seen them ramp him up, I expect he is going to play a lot of snaps today. I expect DeAndre Hopkins is going to get a lot more snaps than he was getting in the regular season. And we know what Xavier Worthy has done in the way that he's developed down the stretch for this offense. It's the first time in years, fellas, that they've got legitimate options, that they've got an actual plethora of pass catching options. And it feels like, even though they've leaned on this quick passing game, this precision passing style to get the ball out quick and help protect Patrick Mahomes and help cover up the offensive line issues, it feels like this version of the Chiefs offense is the most dangerous version of the Chiefs offense we have had in several seasons. And I totally agree. It's going to open things up for Travis Kelce and make things easier for him. But I also expect there's going to be key moments from every one of these wide receivers today and hopefully moving forward in the playoffs, because this is the Chiefs offense that we were supposed to get coming into the season. And we're finally going to get a glimpse of what that might have looked like if these guys were healthy all the way through. And if Rashee Rice doesn't go down, Hollywood doesn't go down, and they wind up acquiring Hopkins because of all of that. But this is the version of the Chiefs offense we were promised coming into the season.
Yeah, we didn't even talk a lot about Hopkins, and I'll be honest, I think it's maybe a closer thought that Noah Gray could have as many yards as Travis Kelce. I mean, if we've looked at it, I mean, he's got 5 touchdowns. There are times we look up, Noah's got 40, 50 yards, and he's had more. They just have a lot of different guys. The thing that I am looking for in this game is the way they've used Worthy here lately, they've kind of backed off the deep stuff. And in particular against the Texans, it was a lot of quick getting in his hands. I think they're going to do some things off of the expectation that they are going to throw short, and I think we see some downfield stuff. At least I don't know if it's going to get completed because Patrick and Xavier Worthy have this weirdness about not being able to complete passes more than 10 yards down the field to each other. But I think that's in the game plan of, all right, it's been Worthy short, and I think they're going to use that and have some downfield opportunities. But just so many different places they can go.
Yeah, because Hollywood came back against the Texans this season, and he looked great then. I know there was like one bad pass Mahomes had, but then again, we're always going to see at least one bad pass from Mahomes, and he'll find himself in. This team, what I'm actually going to watch with everybody there is which of the other guy on the Texas defense, who they're going to double up, because you have so many options, and it's like you just can't think that Travis is going to get the ball the entire time, and you got one-on-ones with people on islands, and I think with every single island out there, the Chiefs' offense is going to clearly trump everything that they're going to go for. So yeah, this is going to be very. I think it's going to be easy, people. I'm telling you, I'm not concerned whatsoever.
And that's like just that. Like that's exactly why I expect Travis Kelce to have a big game, is because like in years past where we saw teams put cornerbacks on Kelce to try to slow him down or whatever, like you can't do that now when they have Hopkins, Hollywood, and Worthy. Like you need Derek Stingley trying to lock down one side of the field and trying to slow those guys. And it's going to free things up for Travis Kelce. So I fully expect a monster game from him and just generally from the Chiefs offense. I need one deep ball, not to Justin Watson. No deep shots to Justin Watson, please. Can I get one 50-yard completion to Hollywood Brown? Like, I just want to see one long pass to Hollywood Brown.
Listen, Serda, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard you say. So you're telling me you don't want to see what they did to Pittsburgh to happen to Justin Watson. You don't want to.
If it's a completion, fine, but I'd rather just not see Justin Watson on the field very much.
They almost got him for a touchdown in the first game. Like he had gotten behind them and they just were off there. I don't give a rip who the deep ball goes to. I know you have some selfishness. I don't give a rip who it goes to. If they can get the ball down the field and have some big plays in this, that's big. I will say this because Kramer is so disrespectful. I will say this. I do think DeMeco Ryans is one of the best defensive minds in football, and I do think he will have adjustments to this. They played a lot of man and got hurt, especially with mesh routes from the Chiefs. So I do think there is going to be some mix-ups on coverages, some zones, some things. I think he is going to be a little bit more aggressive with Derek Stingley because there were many times you just speak of Justin Watson. They just ran Justin Watson out to the side. Stingley was with no intentions of throwing him the ball just so Derek Stingley would cover him and everybody else was being covered by weaker defenders. But I do think we'll see some more zone. But to the point that Serda's made, I think like DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce and Mahomes are great in zone. Like I think they can hurt them in those ways. In this game, it is very clearly, I know you want to get away from it. If the Chiefs, if those dudes up front, if Toney, Caliendo, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Juwan Taylor have an average to an above average game, if they can block them well enough, the Chiefs passing game should do well. Should do like they did the last game. If those guys don't allow, Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter and company to take over the game.
And I thought in the first game, the Texans were doing pretty good in the first half, especially either drawing more pressure to Mahomes and also even more holdings coming there from Trace. But I think he had 2 in the first quarter. And then, of course, Juwan Taylor's going to have his little mishaps. If they can gel quicker, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I think they're going to have answers for that defensive line, even though I do expect some different looks from DeMeco Ryans and adjustments that he's going to make based off of their last performance against the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to move over to the defensive side of the ball, and we talked about it this week. Obviously, this Houston Texans team has suffered a lot of injuries in the wide receiver room. They started the year with what looked like one of the deepest, most talented groups of pass catchers in the NFL. Then Diggs goes down. Then in the first matchup against the Chiefs, Tank Dell suffers a season-ending injury. And now it's really down to Nico Collins in the passing game. And that's going to be something that I am paying very close attention to, especially early in the game, is how Steve Spagnuolo is going to address Nico Collins. And we'll get to Jalen Watson and what we expect from him as the Chiefs activate him off of IR. But I'm more curious with Jalen Watson being available, how that means the Chiefs are going to utilize Trent McDuffie. Like, is Steve Spagnuolo actually going to have him shadow Nico Collins, or is he going to just double team Nico Collins because you want everybody else to beat you for the Houston Texans pass catchers? Like, I think that's going to be one of my biggest keys to the game, is how they try to play this Houston Texans wide receiver core and how Steve Spagnuolo utilizes Trent McDuffie.
Because in the first game, I mean, Joshua Williams was one-on-one with Nico before Tank Dell got hurt. Do I really want Joshua Williams going one-on-one with Nico right now? No. I would clearly want the better guy there. Now, is Trent McDuffie going to be the answer to that? I don't think so. He's very undersized compared to Nico, and if you're going 50-50 ball for Nico anytime, it's going to be Nico's going to get that. So I am actually going to be curious to see how much usage Watson will have this one, because he's the same exact size and frame to Joshua Williams. And probably a little bit more stronger. I would would be more comfortable if he was shadowing him that one. But then again, I don't know how much or often we will see him. So I'm actually very curious to see how the defense will gel with that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different looks that you can give. But to me, the looks have to include him just a hard double. And sometimes it's McDuffie, whatever. They were trying to do things like move him to the slot and move him inside last week, and I think that's how they got him shook loose a few times. But just to me, it's Robert Woods. I still don't know if Robert Woods is going to play. He has not practiced all week long, and he's kind of acted as their number two now that they let Deontay Johnson go, John Mechie. All those guys, like for me, man, you got to tip your cap, let them beat you. I can't let Joe Mixon and I can't let Nico Collins just go off. Like now, some of them, there may be some plays there, but he just can't just go crazy in this game. And I don't think it should be over 100 yards in this game. I think the Chiefs have enough guys out there, and the Texans they just don't have other guys that scare you. I mean, literally their receiving core right now is Nico Collins, John Mechie, Xavier Hutchinson, and they're hoping Robert Woods can play. Like I said, he's not practiced all week with a hip. And then it's Jarrett Wayne, who they called up from the practice squad. And the only claim to fame right now for Jarrett Wayne is he was the one that Tank Dell ran into. And he was called up from the practice squad that game, and then he went right back down, even when Tank got hurt. So not a lot of guys with a lot of experience or that scare you in that route. So
who would be the one, because you watched you've watched Texans clearly closer than us. Who would be that number two right now?
I mean,
if Robert Woods is out, say he's out.
Well, it would be Mechie, and he is the only one that's had like production, and I would say it's been like a game or two. Like last week, John Mechie opened the game. First play of the game, he fumbled a 7-yard catch. First play, they fumbled, and the Chargers recovered. He had another drop early. Like, this is what I'm saying. They had Woods. They had their full complement. Their first 5 drives last week, they didn't do anything for the first 28 minutes of the game. Their first 5 drives was I think 16 plays for 6 minutes and 19 seconds, 59 total yards, 2 turnovers, and 3 punts. Like, that was their first 5 possessions last week. So, I mean, there are ways that they can really struggle that we've seen.
And I just expect a playoff caliber performance from this Chiefs defense. Like, I expect this defense to look much closer to what they looked in the first half of the season and really the last few weeks of the season as compared to that midseason lull they had where they lose Jalen Watson, and then it's starting to kind of unravel in the secondary with Najee Johnson, and then they finally go back to Joshua Williams, and it seems like it stabilizes a little bit. But Jamari Conner is a straight-up liability in coverage, which we'll see how the Chiefs decide to deploy these guys today. I have to imagine Jamari Conner is not going to be heavily in the mix just based off of how they performed after he got injured.
I hope so.
Better hope not.
But we'll see. Yeah, and the biggest thing that we've talked about all week long is the Chiefs getting Jalen Watson back. And it seemed like for a while, like it was going to be a legitimate long shot that he was going to be available at all the rest of the season. And so it's a massive boost to the secondary. Watson was one of the most underrated players on this defense coming into the year. And he is a legitimate number 2 corner, gives the Chiefs that ability in the secondary to do different things, to move their safeties around, to move Trent McDuffie around. Like he totally opens things up on the back end for them on defense by having him out there. And then you have a guy who's up and down, but a little bit more stable in Joshua Williams. I'm just interested to see how much Jalen Watson even plays because the Chiefs were like, oh, he might be on the snap count. But I would imagine if he looks good early, he's going to be heavily involved in today's game plan for the defense.
Yeah, I mean, that's like we were talking about how do you go with Nico. A perfect scenario is if you could put Jalen Watson on Nico with a double, like that would be, they got great size. He's got great size to match the size of Nico Collins, especially in obvious passing downs. If you could do that and then have McDuffie in the slot and do all the things that Spags likes to do with McDuffie in the slot, like that is the hope. And he's a big deal, right? There are two, I think, big defensive players that weren't in the first matchup that are in the matchup on both sides. Azeez Al-Shire, their linebacker, was not there. I think that's a big deal for them. And I think Jalen Watson is a big deal for them, especially with Tank Dell not being there and you have an easier thing. I hope 1-3 is just special teams today. And Shamari Conner, if he's playing some sort of help defender and not the primary defender, or up against the line and he's blitzing or something like that. Because you can't put them in coverage because those two guys, 13 and 27, have been just answers. Just in any matchup, just go there. So Jalen is big and a big key. And if he could at least just go in obvious third downs, passing downs, that is a big lift.
Yeah, because Chiefs secondary has been, I'll be honest, they haven't looked great at all this entire season since Watson was hurt. And now if you're adding him in back to the rotation of guys there, I feel like we're going to see a lot of rotating in the corners because it's an ankle. There's a lot of pivoting involved when you're a corner in the NFL. So hopefully everything stays healthy for him because him being on the field, that just makes it even easier for the Chiefs. If you even want to double up Nico, heck, even put Joshua Williams with Jalen Watson there.
Yeah.
You got two big dudes there.
Yeah, it's fine with me. Two big-bodied corners, and that's the one thing that you can point to in like Trent McDuffie's game, where wide receivers who have given him problems are just these physical freak guys, and Nico Collins is certainly that. So that's going to be a key to the game. So I'm going to be paying very close attention to how active Jalen Watson is early and how much they're utilizing him on the Chiefs defense. But really, the last thing for me that I think is one of the most important things in this game is how this Chiefs pass rush wins against this Houston Texans offensive line that has struggled all season long. I think it's one of the things that kept Houston from really turning a corner and being like a legitimate contender this season to like go to an AFC championship game or try to compete for a Super Bowl. Like, yes, they're a talented team. They're a playoff team, but their offensive line has held them back all season long. And this is the postseason. Chris Jones, obviously working his way back from a calf injury, but he has been dominant this season when he has been available for the Chiefs. And Charles Omenihu is going to be massive in this game. We talked on Show and BK how Charles Omenihu does not has some bad blood there with the Houston Texans, and he's been playing great, and he's made a huge difference for this pass rush down the stretch. I need to see the Chiefs defensive line just absolutely dominate this Texans offensive line today.
and they should. Right. And they should. Like, I'll be honest. Like, they were cool the first matchup. 2 sacks. One of the sacks was C.J. Stroud just running out of bounds himself. And then they got the big pressure in the fourth quarter with Joshua Williams on that corner blitz. But I've watched this Texans team, and the Chargers did it at points last week. Like, CJ, the talent and what the Chiefs can bring from a blitz and front four standpoint, CJ should be uncomfortable, and CJ should be on the move a lot. And with Chris Jones obviously commanding a double team, but still they can't handle him. And I think George Karlaftis, who I think was applying the most pressure in the last game, Blake Fisher, the rookie right tackle they have over there, he was killing him. And the double has to go to Chris Jones. So I think this is a multiple sack game for George Karlaftis. And that's to me that should help all the secondary stuff. He's got one receiver he really depends on that he will hunt. And if you double him and you make him come off of that, the expectation is that the pressure should get there. So yes, they should be dominant up front. CJ should be uncomfortable, multiple sack game, running around. Like, that should be one of the big things that's being talked about in the post game with you and Rocky is they just couldn't handle the pressure.
And what you saw week 16, if you were at Arrowhead watching in your eye test, you would have saw that the pass rush was absolutely getting to CJ Stroud, making him uncomfortable the entire game. Heck, even early on, Hicks got an interception because it was a ball that was overthrown because CJ Stroud had to rush the throw and get it out of his hands. So I feel like it's just gonna be fine. George will eat. Omenahu's going to eat. Chris Jones will eat. Heck, I think we're going to probably see Drew Tranquil go in through a blitz and get something on his own as well. This offensive line for the Texans just isn't what you want for a team that wants to try to get further along in the playoffs. They need more people that can actually help protect C.J. Stroud because he's going to run around with a chicken with his head cut off. I think he's going to run around a lot today and have some good rushing yards.
Yeah, and we know Steve Spagnuolo is going to dial up some blitzes and get after CJ Stroud. I think this is one of the biggest keys to the game, that Chiefs defensive line just has to win against this Houston offensive line. But we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I picked the Chiefs to win this thing 31-17 on Show and BK. Ron, I think you went, what did you go, 31-13?
No, I got 27-13. I just, without the Chiefs helping them, and remember, the Chiefs they're on this 7-game streak and not turning the ball over. It's hard for me to see the Texans getting the points. It's hard for me to see how they get points without multiple turnovers.
See, I got 23-10 Chiefs.
23-10 for Kramer. Doesn't think they've got 30 in them. I think they got 30 in them.
They haven't shown me that they get 30 at all this year. Why do I think it's going to happen now?
That's not true. They have gotten 30 twice. They just haven't gotten over 30.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think they can do it today. I'm picking the Chiefs to get over 30. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. As always, please make sure you subscribe, rate, and review everything we are doing on Foolish Club Media. I'll be live immediately following the conclusion of this divisional round matchup with Rocky Magana. So stay locked in for that. Hopefully, we're talking about the Chiefs going to another AFC championship game. Everybody enjoy the game. We'll talk to you afterwards.